Well, hello and welcome back to another How May I Serve You? Ask Me Anything live stream. It is Thursday, September 11th, 2025. And for those of you who are watching the replay, this is well, I don't know how many of these that I've done. I have been thinking about whether or not I might go back and relabel all the previous ones and give them session numbers so I kind of get a feel for how long I've been doing it. Also, there may be times when I want to refer back to a particular date, and they're not always easy to find in the live tab as far as what dates and stuff like that. It's always like 3 months ago or something like that. But anyway, I am here with another Ask Me Anything. This is your opportunity to join me live if you desire to. I have a live Zoom call standing by, waiting for anybody to join me. I don't necessarily always promote that I'm doing these. I kind of like the impromptu, serendipitous opportunity to just show up in somebody's timeline and they come across that and they see that Cliff is live, whether they know me or for some reason I show up there for any other reason. I love just the idea, the invitation. Hey, let's have a chat. We could talk about anything. So, as I wait for the live stream to start attracting some folks to this particular session, I will just share with you that if you are watching the replay, all you have to do is go to cliffravenscraft.com/live. You'll see my next scheduled session and or sessions. There is one for tomorrow, which is Friday, September 12th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That one is already on the page. And there will likely be some more thrown on there after this session today with next week's commitments to doing these live streams. Now, the way that I had done this previously is that I would block out 90 minutes of time. I would stay here the whole time. And if nobody joined me, not a big deal. I would just go on with my day after the 90 minutes was up. Sometimes just sitting here waiting for somebody to join. And I would actually have this little button here. It says, "Why am I just sitting here?" And it would say, "I'm waiting for you." Yes, you. This is an Ask Me Anything session. I have a live Zoom call running. Why don't you go ahead and join me at cliffravenscraft.com/join. And you know what? People did join me, and I've had some of the most profound and amazing conversations. There's now been 6 different people who have been following me anywhere between 10 to almost 20 years that I've never interacted with before. But because they've been following me in one of the social platforms that I'm streaming to, they saw me show up and they saw my invitation to come join me on a live Zoom call, ask me anything, or just to have a conversation. If you just want to chat for a bit, feel free to join me. You can do so. By the way, there are people out there watching now, cliffravenscraft.com/join. And I'm already 3 minutes into this live stream, and I will wait around for about 10 minutes, maybe up to 15. It depends on where things are in a couple minutes from now, but at least 10 minutes I'll sit here. And if somebody has joined me, we will be bringing them in via Zoom. You'll get to see them on screen, and we'll be well into a conversation. If after 10 minutes of inaction and inactivity, nobody has joined, I'll simply call it a day, shut down the live stream, and make myself available again tomorrow. By the way, let's see, Larry's out there. He says, "Been following you for 15 years." Well, Larry, it is great to hear from you, and I would love to learn a little bit more about you and what has kept you following for 15 years. By all means, if you want to join me, feel free to do so here at cliffravenscraft.com/join. There's a Zoom call standing by waiting for you. I would love to engage with you. If you're not able to do so, no worries. I understand maybe people might be at work, or maybe you've got some other things that you're doing and you just have me on in the background. I certainly understand that. But this is an opportunity, Larry, for after 15 years to have a one-on-one dialogue. If you are interested, it's an invitation. It's certainly no obligation whatsoever. So, but Larry, I appreciate you out there. By the way, do you see right there? Do you see Larry's comment right there? Yeah, that one. I'm trying, these are all reversed for me. But if you see this right here, that's Larry. He's watching via Facebook. And he's actually getting ready to join us here. But if you are actually watching via Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, all 3 of those platforms have a chat that will allow you to join me. All right. We have Larry coming up here. Just give me 1 second. There we go. Larry, make sure you unmute yourself. I'll wait for your microphone to disappear. Larry, how can I be of service to you today?
I don't know, Cliff. I just saw the invite and thought I'd just jump on here. I don't have a specific question for you, but I have been following for a long time.
Well, let me ask you this: what's been the main interest? What has captivated your attention? Because I've certainly gone all over the place in all the different directions of
Yeah.
life. Couple of identity reinventions and stuff like that. So after 15 years, what keeps you following? What made you drop a little comment as you're watching a live stream today? What is it that
Well, I've been watching you back in the podcast days when you were setting up podcast, deals and all that stuff. And I'm friends with Ray Edwards and Michael Stelzner and all those guys, and been doing the digital marketing thing for a bunch of years. And
Oh, I
so,
noticed the shirt. Nice shirt there, by the way.
yeah, 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 Michael will be happy. But yeah, so I don't know, I've always enjoyed just, I know a little bit about you, and so respect kind of some of your thoughts around marketing and all things digital. And so yeah, like I
Cool.
said, I wasn't really coming on here to get advice necessarily, although, yeah, we may come across something you can help me with. But
Nice. Well, let me ask you this. Tell me a little bit more about what you're doing in the world. You're obviously into digital marketing. You know Ray Edwards and Michael Stelzner, two people that are very close to me in my circle. So that kind of tells me what our common interests are and what circles we run in. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about the work that you're doing in the world.
sure. So I started a company. Actually, it was Ray Edwards. Was I met him live at a conference, a small, really small conference. And during the break, he took my wife out to lunch, and we talked about things and started this company called Internet Media Now, which was basically small business marketing. And I had that as kind of a side hustle for a long, long time, and have been slowly moving that towards being a full-time thing. And then this January, well, actually, say that about 2 years ago, it became a full-time thing for a while. And I had a couple of clients, and one of my clients said, "Hey, I need you full-time." And so I went full-time with that client for a year and a half. And then this January, left that and just did Internet Media Now full-time. And the first 6 months of this year were really, really good. Had a pretty large client and was making pretty good money on that. But now I'm just kind of finding myself a little reinventing, moving more into the AI space and trying to work with small companies around setting up AI, it's kind of the basics of AI stuff, like the receptionist who answers the phone, and then you know follow up sequences for social media posting or chat bots or SMS text, all that kind of stuff tied into AI using really, really off the shelf stuff. Although some of it I use N8N to connect some of the dots, um but that's basically what I've been attempting to do. And it's not, I haven't been killing it or anything this last couple months, but hopefully we'll start picking up. So
So internet marketing now, when it's been operating at its best, what is the results that you get for people who hire you?
yeah, so when it works best is I usually am setting up cold email outreach with enhanced emails with AI so that all of the emails have some personalization, that sort of thing. And so what people get from that is leads that are a little or warmer and usually a higher conversion rate than what is just straight cold email. And then the follow up from that as well, so that I actually have a bot that I built that um, answers questions and books a call, books a call basically from those emails. So when someone answers the cold email, they can ask that chatbot, or that in the email, they can ask questions that, and the bot will answer it and try to book a call. So from this, from that person's calendar.
What
So
particular niches have your clients fit into?
one was in the trucking business, shipping and trucking, and then one was a SaaS software for shipping and trucking company, and then a CrossFit gym and a financial services person, uh, and then a roofing company. So
Is there
that's
any
kind of the.
is there any one of those that seemed to be an industry that got more return on investment from what you helped them set up than others?
Um, yeah, probably I mean, the roofing company probably did better than the rest of them.
Okay. Have you thought about doubling down on targeting roofing companies? Is that something you've already done?
I've been I niched it down instead of it being necessarily roofing. I've kind of niched it to what I would call the services industry, the plumbers, roofing, landscapers, and that sort of thing. So I didn't niche all the way down into roofing, but I've niched down into what are more physical services.
When you say niche down into the service based businesses, what effectively is the result of choosing that niche? Like, how did you show up differently as a result of narrowing the focus to those things?
Yeah, I mean, I think the copy is a little more around, you know, the local, or are basically around the AI services, like the receptionist. Are you busy doing the work and not answering the phone? Are you not able to get uh book calls because you're busy doing your work and that sort of thing? So, and I know that I'm sort of in that revamp process now, because I haven't really done a very good job of getting down in that niche.
So, would you be interested in like a just an outside perspective? I'm certainly not in your world, but just the thoughts that are going across my mind, or do you want to just steer the conversation in a different way? Because I have some thoughts for you if you're interested.
Sure. Always open
Okay.
to thoughts.
So my thought is when I hear that I've niched it down to more of the service-based industry, and that's helped, the end result of choosing that more narrowed niche, uh, it's changed the copy. And so what I hear when you're saying that is that now when I'm sending out cold emails, these emails are a little bit more personalized to the generalized things that all service-based businesses have in common.
Right.
Whereas, have you thought about the idea of, and by the way, there's nothing, I think that's great, but have you thought about targeted campaigns to just roofers and targeted campaigns to just plumbers, targeted campaigns to just HVAC? So the reason why I say that is because those three different niches within the niche of service-based businesses have their own language, and they also have their own very unique pains and problems, and I mean in desperate need of very specific solutions. So, for example, I'm just thinking, I'm not in this world, right? But there's, I would imagine like, hey, I'm going to do a marketing campaign for how do you make the most of all of the opportunity as the result of a recent hailstorm as a roofer. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. Here's what I know. I've worked with so many roofers in the past, and when a hailstorm comes, there's more phone calls that come in than you can possibly handle. As a result of that, you're overwhelmed, this, blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And then, if you wait even 3 days to get back to some of those people, you've lost that business. Somebody else has this business. How many times has this happened to you? What if I could solve that for you forever? What if I told you there is a way to convert at least 30, 40, or 50% more of these calls that come into you into clients over the next 6 to 8 weeks? And let me explain to you exactly how this system works. See, this is how you are doing it now. This is what it typically comes in. This is how you get through it. This is how the people are responded to, and blah, blah, blah. And you may think, well, I'm at capacity. However, what if instead you were to do it this way? Imagine this scenario. Do you see how that
Yeah.
that message means nothing to a plumber? That message means nothing to an HVAC guy, but it speaks directly to the roofer who says, holy crap, I need to hire you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, you're right. And that's what I need to do, and I haven't just done it yet. And to be honest with you, Cliff, since there's really only just you and I, yeah, it's been a little bit of a struggle
So Larry,
to do it, to do
pause
things
you.
for myself.
Let me pause you for just a moment. Go back to exactly what you were saying right at the beginning of that, because your internet kind of just it completely
Oh, did
stalled.
it?
And so I shared all of that, and then I didn't hear anything you just said. So go back and say
Okay,
that
so
again.
sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. I was just gonna say I need to do the niching down so that that language is specific to just one subset. That makes perfect sense. And so I agree. I think we need to do that. I've been better at doing this for businesses than I have been for doing it for myself.
We
You
often,
know?
any of us who are out there doing these things, it's very common to very clearly focus on doing exactly the right pinpoint, like this is the right thing to do for a client, and oftentimes we're not doing the same things for ourselves. So you're not alone in this.
Yeah.
But yeah, and again, I'm not saying that you have to niche down and only serve roofers, but boy, having a campaign for roofers and having a campaign for HVAC and not crossing the lines between them, because when the thing that I notice is that when you broaden it out and say I'm just all service-based businesses, it's like, my
Yeah.
favorite person I worked with many years ago, back in my podcast Answer Man days, first of all, there are two things. There are two things I want to share with you. So, two little stories. One, when I announced to the world in 2007 that I was going to leave my day job as an insurance agent and I was going to go full time as a podcast consultant, I'm like, this is my thing. There were 15, 20 people who said, Cliff, this is the most ridiculous thing you can do. Podcasting is dead. It's completely plateaued. It's going nowhere. That's the first thing they said. Then the next thing they said was, Cliff, nobody wants to hire a podcast consultant. You should bill yourself as a social media consultant. You can help them with podcasting, with YouTube video strategy, with social media posting, and all this other stuff. You have no chance of making it as a podcast consultant. Well, meanwhile, I'm actually going through and I've experienced some great success as a podcast consultant. Meanwhile, I saw all these people who generalize in social media in general having a lot of struggle getting clients. Meanwhile, there were tons of people who said, I don't care about YouTube. I don't want to be on video. I don't care about showing up on social media all the time. I just want to actually speak into a microphone, and I want to share my voice, and I want to grow an audience that way because I'm in my truck all the time listening to podcasts. And so I want to reach those people who are like me. And so who did they look for? A social media consultant who specializes in, nothing, but has some knowledge on everything? No, they went for the guy who is all in on podcasting. So that is one part of the story I wanted to tell you. The other part of the story is I had a client who hired me because he wanted to launch a podcast. And so he hired a podcast consultant to do that. And his name was Gary Tackix. And Gary Tackix was a business consultant. One, you could argue that he was a small business consultant, but that is not how he described himself. Matter of fact, if you'll give me 1 second, I'll see how fast I am at this. So I'm going to go over here to my file thing. I'm going to go to Dropbox. I'm going to go down to presentations. And then I'm looking for building an online business. So give me, let's see, that next level one workshop, building an online business. I'm opening up a keynote presentation that I have not opened in I don't know how long. But then I am going to look for value proposition statement. So let's go here, value proposition statement. And do I have Gary Tactics? Actually, he's going to be in the 11-step formula for building your business. And I know it's in here. So What? Oh, here it is. You ready? This is okay. So how long did it take me to find that? Okay, you ready? This is Gary Tactics. Now I want you to think about so many people who are looking to succeed, and they are small business management consultants. All right, that's how they describe themselves. Here's Gary. Gary Tactics is one of the most recognized dental practice management consultants in dentistry today. His knowledge of the business of dentistry has helped thousands of dentists develop a thriving practice in any economy. With Gary as your coach, you can develop your ideal practice that provides you with the economic success that you deserve. Imagine the joy of practicing dentistry because you want to, not because you have to.
That's cool.
Now, that if he was a generalist, small business, blah blah blah, he's not that. A dentist will read that and it doesn't resonate. But if you're a dentist and you read that, your ears perk up. Now, ironically, I happen to know a lot of small business consultants. I don't know but one small business consultant that is like Gary Tactics, which is that when I was in Las Vegas, Nevada for Blog World New Media Expo, Gary heard that I was in town. He's like, hey, Cliff, I'm hosting a conference down here at, and I can't remember which of the big hotels. There's one of the big hotels on the Strip with a massive conference center. He was hosting his own industry event for dentists. And there were thousands of dentists in Nevada for his conference.
Wow. That's, yeah. It is it's overlooked that even a small niche, especially in the United States, is pretty big. And I suffer from that because I guess because I've done so many different businesses before, and I feel like I know I can help anybody, and that's sort of the problem is I just not niche down tight enough uh to get that kind of domination in a niche, which is what I probably need to do.
I would say it's not what you need to do. It's just an opportunity that you could pursue that may have some benefits that come with it. I like
Yeah.
that language. It's what you could do versus what you need to do. Quite frankly, I'm not personally. This is one of those situations where it's like, Cliff, who's your niche? Well, my niche is pretty much, it's been primarily entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, small business owners, but I'm not down to any particular niche within that. So I haven't yet done this myself. But then again, my thing hasn't been to dominate it and to do these things. I kind of just like the serendipity of things. But if you would like more predictable revenue where your marketing message is landing in a, like, it's pressing people's buttons and it's like, yep, oh wow, you did my wife contact you? Has she been talking to you? Is that where you got the information that you just sent me in this email? That if you want to start communicating that way, you'll need to use their language. And in some ways I have enough, I'm able to do that enough with the solopreneur and also the entrepreneur business owner. I mean, some of the things that I'm talking about here right now is just as relevant to you as JR Lawhorn, who is here, by the way. And JR just commented on the X platform. He says, hey, Cliff. Hi, Larry. He says, like this topic, I'm building a new software as a service specifically for HVAC companies. And so I'm not the great news is that if I wanted to, I could create a single marketing campaign just for software developers. I could create a marketing campaign just for people who have digital marketing agencies. I could create, and I would probably, I would likely see even greater success if I took one or two of those special niches within the niche and target and go find specifically those in that industry and speak their language. It's kind of like showing up in my wife and I went to Los Cabos, Mexico many years ago, and I show up and I'm like, hola, and gracias, and I speak my 7 words of Spanish, and I wasn't able to use my porque no agua en la piscina, which is why is there no water in the swimming pool. Don't ask me to explain to you why I know that question in Spanish, but let's just say there's been no practical use for that question yet. But the reality is that it's like, oh my gosh, this guy's such an outsider. He is not one of us when you go in and you're not able to speak that language. But there's enough of what I'm doing here that is speaking your language and it's speaking JR's language. But man, there are certain phrases, there are certain words, there are certain terms, and there, if I just knew the glossary index of the words that actually, like, there are words that you would hear me say that are so specific to just your world, it would instantly give me credibility in your world or in your mind.
Yeah. And I think the thing I've been suffering under is I am a what they call what do you call it, jack of all trades, master of none.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that, but it's just that my mastery or the subjects that I'm very deep in are in what I may be wrong on this, think are not super, um, they're not very profitable spaces. For example, I've worked two different companies that are homeschool curriculum companies.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I've gotten my marketing chops. I've doubled the size of two of the largest uh, homeschool curriculum companies in the United States. Classical Conversations. When I was hired by them, I took over all their marketing, and then we doubled the size of the marketing team, and we doubled the size of the company in the 4 years I was there. And then another company called Veritas Press came and got me and said, "Can you do the same thing?" And we did that over 3 years. And so, but and maybe I just haven't figured out what in homeschooling I should do as a product. But I'm more comfortable talking to businesses than I am maybe the consumer in that in this kind of area. But yeah, so I've had a fair amount of success at marketing for businesses and understanding that is really a lot about copywriting and the language of your getting in the head space of the person you're speaking to in your copy. But I haven't niched down well enough in my in this business at this point in the last 6 months that I've been doing it now. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't have a lot of I mean, in the first 6 months, like I said, I had a really good customer that was a larger one that was paying 10,000 a month. And so I should have had more customers, so when that contract ended, it wouldn't be as big of an impact. So that's where I'm sort of figuring out is
Yeah, we call
I
that
need to niche down and get lots of them.
we call that an investment in your education.
Yes, we do.
You're adding valuable learn. That was a great 6 month semester of the business of or the educational business degree that you've been developing. And the cool thing
Yeah.
is that you got paid $10,000 a month during those 6 months to actually learn that lesson, only to realize, okay, now the ramification is that Now I have no influx of clients to replace this income. So
Yeah.
even it's like, wow, okay, now valuable lesson learned. Just imagine this though, based upon this conversation, if you had next week, Monday through Friday, to develop a new campaign to attempt to land new clients, would you think it would be more valuable to try to create something that would speak to all service-based businesses, or to choose one specific service-based business type and go out and create a campaign and try to reach as many of those individual business owners who fit that very narrow niche, who would understand that very narrow language? Which next week do you think would be a better use of your time?
Yeah, definitely niching down makes more sense. So yeah, I'll be
And
niching down for sure.
and hear me out. I'm not saying that overall your business has to completely niche down. You could have,
Yeah. Just the
but
campaigns are.
exactly. And also, please hear me this. If you start to experience some success in that niche and you start building a name for it, could you simply be the now marketing group that is only focused on helping roofers or plumbers or HVAC, only one of those? Yeah, you. And if that happens, all of a sudden all of your success stories, all of your testimonials are all spoken in the language that your next customer, your next potential customer speaks. And you even gain more credibility, more credibility, more credibility. I'm not suggesting this is the path you should go down. I'm not suggesting this is what you need to do in your business. I'm just saying, just painting a picture of possibility, an
Yeah.
an optional path one could pursue.
Yeah. Sounds good. So Cliff, what are you doing now? And I say I've been following you. I haven't been following you very, very closely, to be honest.
Yeah. So let's see here, from 2005 through 2017, I was known as the podcast answer man. And I personally am responsible for helping more than 40,000 people in the world successfully launch a podcast. After 2015, I began to become mind numbingly bored with my day job as a podcast consultant, where about 7 to 8 hours a day was invested in answering the most mundane questions like, hey, I published my episode 25 minutes ago and it's not yet in this podcast directory. Do you think there's a problem? Or, hey, I happen to have a buzzing noise in my thing. Or, hey, Cliff, I purchased all of the equipment that you suggested in your package except for this. Do you know what cable I need? And that, I
Yeah.
mean, hundreds of questions like that every single week. And the whole reason I became a podcast consultant wasn't so that because I had all this technical expertise and I wanted to share it with people, although I did have some technical expertise. What really woke me up inside and made me want to pursue this was the number of people who were overcoming their fear of putting their voice and a message out into the world, overcoming their fear of who am I to be a thought leader? Why would anyone listen to me? How will I be perceived by others? What if people criticize me? There's so many people out there who have so much more experience and knowledge than I do. And it was always that stuff that I loved most as a podcast consultant. But over time, my ability to lean in heavily into those questions versus the technical, I got a quick question for you. It was too much. So I had an option. One, I could hire a bunch of people and have them answer all the technical, boring questions, and I could only focus on the clients that I wanted to. Or which by the way, at the time and still today, if you were to ask me on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like the idea of hiring people to work for you in that capacity, whether it be an employee or a contracted worker? On a scale of 1 to 10, the answer is 0. I have zero interest in managing a team of people who handle those things, no matter how much money it would earn for me. The answer is still 0. I'm not saying that one day that won't change, but for some reason, I still desire to be a solopreneur. So, what I decided to do in 2015 was to try to find some way to transition out of that work into what makes me most come alive, which is to help people with broadening their ideas around business strategy and mostly mindset. And if you think about this, what have we been talking about here today? Business strategy and a little bit of mindset, right? And so it's like,
Yep.
man, this, I really love this. Now, I got to tell you that this is what my focus was. So in November 2017, I finally validated what you and I are doing here as an actual paid path forward for me. So I actually landed a bunch of clients who hired me. We did not talk about podcasting at all, but we only ever spoke about business mindset and or business strategy and mindset related topics. And that is what I did from 2017 full time all the way up until June of 2025. However, one of the things that I really recognized is that business strategy sometimes gets a little boring for me too. It's just I again it's I know it what you and I just talked about is not a whole lot less for me than answering, this is the you need a tip ring sleeve plug on one end and a TRS tip ring sleeve on the other end, and it needs to go from balanced to unbalanced, and this is why that's important. That's why you have this, and you need a ground loose bisolator. I, both that conversation and let's niche down into this in my mind is almost about the same. Now, the thing here is that I'm here to be of service. And you'll notice that the question up here is ask me what? Anything. So I don't limit myself today to what people can ask me. So if I have anything within my toolbox to give to people, you ask me anything and I will serve you in that way. However, if you were to ask me what I do professionally for a living, and you were to contemplate hiring me as your coach today, would business mindset or business strategy be the focus of our work together? No, you could not hire me for that. In fact, after 6.5 years, I shut down all of my paid mastermind groups because they were all clients who were in the mastermind group for business strategy. And I'm like, this, it started to get to the place where I'm facilitating these sessions, and all I hear is Charlie Brown's teacher, wah, 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 wah. And I'm like, man, can't somebody be struggling with something deep in their soul about their identity and like some sort of belief that they're going to argue for their limitation as to why they can't achieve or do this thing they feel most called to do in this world? And that's when I really come alive. And so for the last several months, I've been operating in the area of I just want to find somebody who's really struggling, who's stuck, who's had a ton of success financially, but still feels unfulfilled in life. Somebody who's at a crossroads but has no clue which direction to go next.
Hmm.
That's where I thrive today. Give me the impossible. Are you facing a 10,000, 100,000, a $10 million decision that you have no idea what to do? Let's have a conversation. I can help you overcome all of your fear. That's what I do in the
Interesting.
world today.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran into just talking to people about business and met this lady who was not interested at all in AI, not interested at all in marketing, but she wanted to be a coach. She wants to be an actual a coach. She has a small, she's an entrepreneur, has a successful hair salon, and so I asked her, well, why haven't you done it yet? And she's like, well, I don't know if I had all these excuses. And I said, I know why you haven't done this yet. She said, well, how do you know? I said, because no one's holding you accountable. You say you want it and you don't, but you aren't willing to do the things that you say you want to do or need to do to get to what you want. So, yeah, so I told her I'll be your accountability person. And so we talk every week now, once a week. And so 6 month contract, and we're going to have her at least one customer in the third month is our is the main goal, and then have her at least three by the end of the 6 months. So
Nice. That's awesome,
yeah,
Lenny.
yeah, I enjoy
Sweet.
doing that. I find myself doing that naturally with people. I have
Hmm.
people who, and my whole thing, and it was to her too, is that she's doing someone a disservice. Someone needs what she has, and she's holding it back because she's not doing what she needs to do, and she knows it. But there's also other people out there who have a story, who have uh, a passion for and a knowledge of something that someone else needs. And I tell them, you're being selfish by not doing it, not putting it out there and getting it out there to tell that person about it. So anyway, I find myself sort of doing that a lot. And so I appreciate hearing your story. I remember you back in the days of uh the Lost podcasts and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's come a long way since the Lost podcast days, that's for sure. Although I got to admit, there are some times when I'm tempted to go and launch another entertainment based show just because there's something invigorating about that aspect of podcasting. Uh,
Yeah.
the, there is one area that I know that if I was to pick a particular show that was wildly popular, I would probably tend to pick it up if I could actually pick it up maybe starting in the second season. So like the first second, if it were a show, here's the formula that I would apply for myself. I would look for a show that's just completed its first season and people just can't simply stop talking about it. Now, I might even extend it to potentially the end of a second season. By that time, there's so many other people who's already in the game on it, but still wildly popular. So, by the way, second season shows, I think, uh, what is that called? Severance on Apple TV Plus.
Mm,
Severance would be a show that I would consider. I wouldn't do Silo. Silo's very popular,
yeah.
but it's based upon a book series. And I know for a fact that that thing's probably not going to last, 7 or 8 seasons. Whereas Severance could go on for some time if it continues to have its
Yeah.
success. But the
Mm,
thing I know is that if I were to find the right show, and it's very clear early indication immediately it was like booked for another season, and it's got clear evidence this is going to be a long run. All I have to do is go back and start watching that first season, and if I resonate with it, if I absolutely love it, and this is the key, I have to absolutely love the show. Like I'm going to
yeah.
become a die-hard fan of this. I can't manufacture my interest. It's got to be there. But
Right.
then all I have to do is go get the URL, the name of that podcast, or the name of the show slash, or actually the name of the show, fan podcast. And I would register that URL. That would be it would be the Severance fan podcast with Cliff Ravenscraft or whatever. And boy, I know for a fact I would have 50,000, 60,000 brand new subscribers who had never heard the name of Cliff Ravenscraft within the first 90 days of that podcast. And it would be a labor of love. It would not be something I'd do to monetize, but the trickle down of the people who would find me through that and then discover my other work, and then all of a sudden eventually the percentage that actually becomes a client. I only need one client a month at $15,000 paid in full for the year.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Cliff. Do you are you or how are you faring on this whole AI stuff that's going on?
How am I faring on it? What does that
I
mean?
mean, like, do you use it? Do you care about it? Is are there? I mean, I
So
I use. I mean, I've just been. It's kind of a hot topic with people. It's some people love it, some people hate it.
So I don't love it nor hate it. It just is what it is. I think it's exciting. I have Michael Stelzner let me know about OpenAI like the day it was announced. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I
Mhm.
spent all night last night on this. Let me show you what I could do." And as soon as he showed it in our green room mastermind, I'm like, "Okay, I'm signing up for this instantly." And I've been a daily avid user of OpenAI ChatGPT ever since. I did test out Claude when it came out with its paid version and stuff like that. uh, they're they're close enough to where I didn't feel like I needed both of them. And yeah, Claude could be a little bit more flowy and more creative with its wording and stuff like that. But my intention is not to just take anything written by the AI and then just paste it as my own. Although there are some circumstances where I think that's more than appropriate, such as read my transcript of this podcast episode and give a summary for my show notes. I don't care if that's just the pure AI
Yes.
summary, as long as I've read it and it's not inaccurate, which you have to be careful to watch out for because they hallucinate things. I promise you, I did not talk about that.
Yeah.
I just did that episode 15 minutes ago, and that was not in there. So those are fun. But anyway, yeah, I use AI. I would say I would use AI anywhere between an hour to 3 to 4 hours a day and exclusively chat gpt. There, I would say that whatever Notion .ai or whatever Notion.so, I use Notion for my notes and my CRM that I custom built for myself. It has some AI integrated in it. I pay for the additional AI functionality there. But it's the most I ever do there is highlight a beta text and hit improve this sentence. And really I'm doing it for spelling and grammar check for more than
Yeah.
anything. But those are I would say that's about 95% of my use of AI. I have not even dared to look into Gemini, Perplexity, or any other sort. I haven't looked at Claude since Claude 3 or Claude 2 or Claude whatever that was. I could just care less. There hasn't been anything I've wanted to do with AI that I haven't been able to do with ChatGPT. I don't do a ton with images, although ChatGPT has pretty decent image gen today. um, yeah, I and there are people out there using what is it called, N2N or something like that. That
N8N.
N8N, that's it. And
Yep.
it's like, you know what? I'm just not interested. My life, my philosophy of life currently is keep it simple and keep it
Mhm.
human, keep it real, keep it present. And I'm not looking for large scale. I am looking to go as narrow as one person at a time and to go as deep as I can go with that one person. And so for me, the idea, and I have nothing against anyone who uses AI in any other way, but my emails are like from me to to my people on my list. They're not scheduled in advance. There's like, what do I feel like sharing with my audience today? My podcast episodes aren't planned out in advance. It's like, what's on my heart to say today? Let me hit record. Let me publish it right now. um, and my live streams aren't me here streaming to everyone who could possibly find me. My stream today was, I'm going to be here for 10 minutes, and if nobody joins me on Zoom within the first 10 minutes, I'm going to shut down this live stream and I'll be back again tomorrow. But man, get one person on this live stream, and there is no limit to the depth I will go with that person.
That's cool. Yeah. That's the thing that is exciting about it for me has been saving people time, a lot of the businesses, and also just opening a lot of the eyes of some small business owners who've never even looked at ChatGPT. And when you show them some things that can save them, you know, 10 hours a week, I mean, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something worth doing. And some of the little hacks that I've come up with, like you said you haven't looked at Gemini, but have you looked at Notebook LM?
One time I looked at it, and it's not that it's not valuable. I can see there's tons of things that
Yeah.
I could do, but they're not aligned with my desire of how I personally want to be
Mhm.
and show up in the world. But I'm
Yeah.
interested to hear in your thoughts on Notebook LM.
Well, the one of the ways I've been using it is well, but for the 6 months that I had that one account, I would always take our transcripts from our conversations that we would have and put them in there. And so I would also into Notebook LM because it has a very, very large repository. You can put lots and lots in it. It's bigger than ChatGPT and the other ones because it's Google, I guess. But and then right before I get on the next meeting, I would ask it relevant questions so that I'd be prepared for the next meeting. And the same thing with this coaching with Michelle, the lady I'm doing the coaching with. Each week before I get on the call with her, I ask my Notebook LM, to give me relevant things that we might have missed that we should talk about, and ask it some deep questions about things like, if you were coaching this person, what is there anything that you would bring out of this, the last conversation we didn't talk about, or, and it comes up with some pretty amazing things. But it's also given me some hacks that I've given to some CEOs about, if you need to learn fast about something, you can dump PDFs, ebooks into Notebook LM, and then ask it to do a podcast. It pumps out a 35-45 minute podcast of that topic,
Yeah.
of that stuff. And what's cool is it has a join button as well, and so I'll listen to it in the background so that I'm learning kind of in the background, but I'll be doing other things. And if I get a little unfocused and I hear them say a word about something and I've missed it, I'll join the conversation and say, hey, can you go deeper in that topic, so I don't remember what we were talking about there. And it'll go back and you know tell you more about that subject. It's kind of like having two guys reading your notes back to you and saying, "Hey, I missed something. Can you give it to me again?"
Yeah.
It's really pretty amazing for being able to relearn or to regurgitate stuff that I had missed, and or just learning fast. It puts together study notes as well. It's pretty cool.
I love that. The one thing I did not know that it had now is the join feature. The fact that you can join in the middle of that podcast and interrupt the hosts and kind of like say, "Hey, I've got a question for you guys as the host of this podcast. Can you go back and explain what you talking about there?" So that's a pretty
Yeah,
cool feature. But yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
pretty cool.
much of what you're talking about, I mean, for me, one of the things that I've done, I recently had a person who reached out to me and he's like, "Hey, Cliff, I'd love to give you a copy of my ebook that I wrote on such and such topic." And it's basically just a digital version of an actual book. And it's like, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 pages, something like that. And, this is somebody that I respect very highly. The topic was of tangential interest to me. I feel like I'm, a master of customer service. So it's not necessarily I'm looking to, it's like, how can I learn some tweaks or some insights here to help me improve on how I can show up and be of service to others? That's not necessarily a shortcoming of mine. So I, I'm like, okay. So what I did is I took the PDF that he gave me access to, and I went into ChatGPT and says, "Here's this PDF. I would like you to give me a full, complete bullet point summary of every key insight in this book. Be as thorough as possible, but take it in such a way that I could read and consume all of this in less than 10 minutes." And so then it spit all of that out. And then I use Speechify. So Speechify, then I can choose a voice and I have it read it to me in 1.7 speed, and it reads the output of that summary. And then of course I went in, followed up, and asked it certain questions based upon some of those things. Can you get this? Can you do this? Blah blah blah. And the interesting thing that I did is I probably spent about 25 minutes consuming the essence of this book. And I felt like I really did consume what the heart and essence of everything that was in this book. I mean, lots of detailed back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And because ChatGPT allows me to share that thread, I went and got the copy of the thread, went over to my friend who sent it to me and said, hey, do me a favor. If you'd like to see the insights that I've taken, the ways that I've interacted with your book, and the questions that I had, and all this other stuff, and here are my main takeaways, and this is what I'm putting into my notes as a result of your book. Read this thread. And I just pasted the link to the open thread. His mind was blown because he actually saw all of my interaction with ChatGPT, all of the back and forth. And so in
Yeah.
essence, I kind of get the same thing of what you're talking about with Notebook LM, but
Yeah.
in a way that
You should
still
check it
doesn't.
out.
What's that?
You should check out Notebook LM because they
I
just
could
added two
I could
features.
check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, you could check it out. Because they just added a feature that you could add that PDF in there and ask it to do an explainer video,
Mm-hmm.
basically, and it'll create an explainer video and then mind map it. It'll give you a mind map. It's pretty
No,
neat stuff.
it sounds amazing. It
Yeah.
truly does. The I think the cool thing is that this is all moving so fast, and it's all so much out there. And when it first came out, I was kind of like, I'm just going to use this. And here's what I will say: AI allows me to do things today that I've always wanted to do, but I just didn't feel like it was high enough priority for me to sit down and take all the time, effort, and energy to do it. So, for
Mhm.
example, I'm the type of guy who likes to communicate with my voice. That may be shocking to some people to know, but I like to talk. So for me, I can hit record and I can talk for 60 to 90 minutes on any topic that's of interest in my head. And I can monologue, and it will be entertaining, educational, encouraging, and inspirational from the very beginning all the way to the very end. I can capture people's attention, and I can have so much enjoyment communicating in such a powerful way with my voice. And then I hit stop, hit publish, and people will love that content. Now, for me to take everything that I shared as far as the topics, the insights related to it, and the transition from one thing to the next, but to try to communicate that by with my fingers at a keyboard, typing it out in a document, I have the ability to do that. But what took me 90 minutes to communicate with my voice in a podcast episode would take me 9 hours to communicate the way that I would want it communicated in a written document.
Right.
However, and the reason I know that is because I literally would spend 5 to 6 or 7 or 8 hours writing a single email newsletter that you could read in 6 minutes. But man, it's like, listen, I know the format I'm going for. I know how much time they're going to read, blah, blah, blah. I got the key, but man, I really want this to be dialed in, and all this other stuff. And so it would take me a long time. But now I just go to otter.ai and I'm like, transcribe this for me. I go to ChatGPT. It's like, okay, here's my voice. These are the instructions. I want this written in narrative format. I want you to include my voice, specific quotes that I said in the podcast episode. I want anything that seems appropriate for this narrative email. Use as much of my words, my language in here. I would like you to not miss any of the main insights. I'd like to make sure that nobody has to actually listen to this podcast episode to be able to walk away with all of the insights that are available in the podcast episode. I want everyone who just reads this email to be able to have access to all of that insight, all of that information. But then at the end, if anybody would like to hear my unedited, unscripted thoughts on this in full detail, here's a 90-minute episode. Click here to listen. And I can throw that into AI, and what would have taken me 9 hours to produce, it will kick that back in about 90 seconds. And then I take that, copy it, move it over to Notion, and I go paragraph by paragraph, and I make it even more my own. And within 30 minutes, it's now pushed out via email. It's a LinkedIn newsletter, and it's a Facebook post.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do a weekly newsletter, and I found myself being able to shortcut. Unlike you, I'm not super great with my voice, which is a little sad. My dad was a radio disc jockey for ever. 14, when he started being a disc jockey when he was age 14, and all the way through Vietnam was a DJ, and so he's an incredible orator, but unlike him, I don't have the voice or the ability like he did. But I do find myself being able to use AI to not necessarily to shortcut it, but it's to be a better writer than I possibly probably am. And so but I have opinions and my beliefs. And so I'm able to communicate what I believe about the topics and some very, very maybe best practices around things, and then give it to AI to better structure and communicate it. And that's been very helpful. And um, I'm my own best case use case for some of it because I try to help businesses with making things more efficient. And so a lot of times what I'll do is, okay, here's how to make it more efficient. I'll do it for myself, like the writing a newsletter. My last newsletter post, in fact, was about how I wrote the newsletter more efficiently, and and use the tools that are available. So but yeah, I really AI is one of these interesting things that I think in the next 10 years, businesses that aren't using it are going to fall behind. And I don't mean that in their essence. I mean, like, for example, like roofing companies that have AI receptionists opposed to those who don't, or the people who follow up. I mean, there's that Princeton study that was done, or maybe it was the MIT study that said that if you wait 30 minutes or longer, your conversion drops off by X amount. So, 5 minutes or less, then your conversions are higher. So there's this follow-up functionality that people aren't doing. So there's all these things that AI is going to contribute to. And to me, I don't remember who said it. I think it was, I don't remember, Bill Cosby or someone who said, who, being drunk just amplifies who you are. I think AI as a business is possibly the same type of thing. If you are a business that sucks, it's gonna, you may be getting business, but more people will know you suck faster. So,
Fair
so to
enough.
speak.
Yeah.
So, so you're gonna have to game to be good at some point. You can't save a bad business that just is not good by using AI, but if you have a decent business, these are going to help you with the blocking and tackling. So I think that's an interesting
Yeah.
thing. And I think that business owners especially need to be aware of how to use it well and not get in the way of it, not get in their own way of it, and also not get in their way of it for their employees. I think the employees of a business especially need to know that there are these tools, but there also needs to be some guardrails because there's some real security issues there as well.
Yeah.
So businesses that ignore that are going to be in trouble.
I think some businesses will replace some of their employees with AI
Certainly.
in very short order. There is one tool that I realized in this conversation I did not tell you about that I use in AI. And it is one, unfortunately, I have not used in the past month. And that kind of just makes my soul ache right now as I admit that it's been more than a month since I've actually created a song. But Suno.ai, Suno
Oh
dot
yeah,
AI. I am a pro member subscription there, and
that's cool.
I love creating songs. And the for me, what I've done is I used to be a real like advocate for creating lists of written affirmations. These, I'm really big into deconstructing beliefs and reconstructing beliefs. And so taking away and dissolving and eliminating all of the limiting beliefs that I've adopted throughout my lifetime from various different places that are not serving me, and also which are hindering me from experiencing the thoughts and feelings that lead me to take the right actions to get desired results. And so not only do I need to dismantle the limiting beliefs, but I need to adopt empowering alternative beliefs. And many times that needs to be conditioned. So repetition is the mother of skill, and to really to be reminded of this, because for so much of my life I've had this conditioned way of believing about this, and now this is what I know is even more true, but by default I fall back here subconsciously. And so I want to actually know, I want to ingrain this new belief. And I would actually have these list of beliefs, and I used to recite them on a daily basis. I would read them. There was an app called Think Up, which was, I think, at thinkup.me, if I'm not mistaken. And I paid for a subscription there so that I could actually record all of my affirmations in my own voice. And then it would read them back to me in my own voice. So I get to hear myself saying these affirmations. And you could categorize the affirmations to different categories and things. And so I could choose to play it, and you can randomize it. It was really cool. And I used that for a long time. But when Suno.ai came out, and or not when it came out, but when I discovered Suno.ai for myself, the first thought that came to me is like I was in a journal entry. I was journaling, and then I'm like, wow, I just had a major epiphany, a major breakthrough. I have just unearthed a significant, major limiting belief. Clear as day. I have so much evidence in my life to support why I believe this, but it is limiting me, and I know it's not the fullest truth. It is a half truth, and I break up with it. But here's what I now know to be true, and it's the opposite of this, and here's the evidence I have to support it. And I wrote out this big declaration. And then I took this entire journal entry, went over to ChatGPT, and said, I want you to help me create a song where the lyrics of this song are written to help me affirm this new adopted way of believing and perceiving about this scenario.
Hmm.
And so it actually creates an entire song, like verse structure, bridge, chorus, all of it. And then I go in and it creates these songs, and I just have my own playlist that I listen to
So you just listen to your affirmations in song.
in song.
That's cool.
And it's been psychologically proven that when words are associated to music, and if you actually are listening to music and words while in motion, for example, on a drive in a car or on a walk, which is when I would listen to my affirmations, they actually get stuck in your memory palace. They literally are implanted.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I've played with that tool. I wrote a song for my wife for anniversary type of thing. It was fun. So yeah, I've enjoyed the tool, but I hadn't thought about doing my affirmations.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's
there you
kind of
go.
cool.
Little tip.
Yeah.
Larry, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, certainly. Are you still in Tennessee?
I have never been in Tennessee
Oh, I
as
thought
far
you
as
were in
living
Tennessee.
there. That's okay. You are not the first person. You're about the 100th person who is under the impression that I live in Tennessee. And it probably has a lot to do with Dan Miller and Michael Hyatt, because I used to go down there
Oh,
at least two, three, four, up maybe 6 or 7 times a year sometimes, and hang
right,
out
right.
with the stuff that they're doing down there. And when I was doing my annual conference, I hosted my annual conference down in Tennessee, mostly because of, being introduced to what's called the Factory in Franklin, Tennessee, which I
Oh
attended
yeah.
lots of events there. And I'm like, that's where I want to host my event. But yeah, so a lot of people thought I lived in Tennessee. But
Yeah,
no,
I think
I
that may
live
be
in
why.
northern Kentucky, just across the river from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Yeah, I was up there last year, did a big event at the Arc.
Oh, yeah. That's
I
about
worked
30 minutes from here.
the company that I was working with that hired me, said they wanted me full time, was a company called Trail Life USA, which is a Boy Scout like program. but Christian based.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did a big event there. So it was fun.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for opening the mic. It's been fun talking to you.
It has been a delight. If there's any time I can ever be of support or encouragement to you in any way at all, feel free to reach out to me in whatever platforms you know to reach out to me. My email's pretty easy, cliff@cliffravenscraft.com. You're welcome to come back here anytime. I host these. I've been doing it Monday through Friday. As long as I'm in town or not hosting one of my workshops, I'm typically here at least once a day, Monday through Friday. And lately, it's just come within 10 minutes of the start of the scheduled call, or within 10 minutes of me finishing a conversation. So, but you're welcome back anytime, Larry. And I'm so thrilled that we got to meet. Is this the first time we've ever interacted with each other?
No,
Okay,
no.
we've met at a conference before, I imagine, social media
Yes,
marketing world.
we
Yeah.
have. That was
I,
weird.
I sometimes hesitate to say that because it's like, oh, Cliff, you should know we've probably had 3 conversations over the last 10 years. And it's one of the downfalls of going and speaking to, hundreds and hundreds of people each time I go out there. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I don't
Larry, I'm
have
glad.
that problem, Cliff.
Well, I tell you what, I will remember this conversation. When it goes this deep, it sticks. So,
Yeah, I appreciate it, brother.
all right. Many blessings.
All right. Bye
All
bye.
right. See ya. All right, my friends. So with that, you know what? There's only 18 minutes left, but I'll tell you what. If anybody is out there watching right now and you'd like to engage with me here before I end this live stream, there's at least 18 minutes. And if what you have on your mind makes sense for us to go more than 18 minutes, I will continue even beyond the 18 minutes that I have here. But for you to be able to take me up on this, all you need to do is go to cliffravenscraft.com/join within the next, let's say 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes to go to cliffravenscraft.com/join. You can do this on your desktop or your phone. And if you do that, there's a button that says click or join live Zoom session. And you will be pulled right into my Zoom session here, and you and I will be chatting just like Larry and I just did. So I would love to have that opportunity. By the way, if you are just now tuning in and you're not available to have such a conversation with me right now, but you'd like to take me up on this at some future time, if you go to cliffravenscraft.com/join right there, you will see a schedule of my next session or sessions. Currently, the only one right now at this very moment is tomorrow, which is Friday, September 12th. I'll be here starting at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And I probably am going to get ready to end this session because, well, of course, I will forego my ending the session if anybody joins me within the next 1 minute. But if not, I will add some of the next week's schedule onto the list after this live stream today. So there you go. Let's just do 25 more seconds here. This is your last chance, last call for today to ask me anything. And I do mean anything. It doesn't matter what's on your mind. I would be delighted to be of service, to be of any support, any encouragement to you. Just go to cliffravenscraft.com/join within the next 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, and nothing. So I just now took away that button. It's all shut down. I look forward to the potential of connecting with somebody, who knows who, tomorrow. Serendipity is the way I'm doing these. I'm not letting people know too much ahead of time, like promoting it to my list. More than anything, I like to connect with people who aren't actively engaged currently with who I am and what I'm doing in the world today. I love these serendipitous conversations. I'm really enjoying it. So many blessings. Have a great day, and we'll talk again soon.